I had just gone through a really stressful season with my daughter. I was working a really stressful job as a suicide hotline crisis counselor. So I was already kind of in this re-traumatized state. And I think I was living in survival mode, and I didn't realize how much in survival mode I was living until the spring when my daughter overdosed and I left my job and I wasn't leaving my house. I felt like I was too afraid to leave her, and I didn't have a life at all. I never went out anywhere. I didn't go see friends. I didn't do anything. The hospitalization with her and her overdose, it just led to more and more stress. I was having a lot of anxiety, and I had PTSD for a few years. I really thought I'd resolved that. Like, I thought after all the decades of counseling that I did, that I should be able to use my skills, I should use my coping school tools, and it just wasn't working, it wasn't helping me. I was willing to try something new, something that I hadn't done before, and that was the course. Like, I didn't know anything about breath work, I didn't know anything about using yoga or somatics. I just knew that you had something different. It was a totally new approach, much more simple than I thought it would be. You have to stay consistent, but what's great is that it's so simple. You just start integrating module 1, 2, 3 into your life, you're gonna start to see changes. And doesn't have to be this big, like, I'm working so hard in recovery, because I did that for a really long time. But this was different. This was like a gentle, compassionate, I'm gonna bring these things into my day every day, consistently, and I'm gonna show up for that. I'm gonna stick with that because I deserve that, and I know that's gonna get me where I wanna go. I'm the kind of person, when I want something really badly, like, I want it, and I'm like, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get there. My recovery journey started in 1994, or like a long time ago, I should say. So for me to be like almost to the point where I'm like, I feel like I'm wrapping it up. And this has been decades of work. So that last hurdle, it was almost like I could see the finish line. I'm gonna go for it, you know? And it was really scary because I've survived so many years of abuse and trauma to the point where I didn't even know what was reality. So basically, to break free, I had to go through all of it and face all of it to get to the other side. But what I wanted on the other side, I wanted that more than I was afraid of it. So I was willing. I was like, I'll walk through the fire. Like, let's go. Let's do it. Let's go in. You're going to show me how to go in. And then the course teaches you about your nervous system, and then you get your nervous system strong, and then you can start to feel things in a way that you're not in the fear. You're like looking at it. You're like, oh, okay, I'm feeling this fear, but I'm not experiencing it. So I was continually supported. I was continually felt equipped. I didn't feel scared. Like I could have been really afraid before. But I took my time, and it walks you through it, and you can go at your own pace. When you're ready, you go to the next step. For me, it was set up as a pathway, and as I followed the steps, you know, I found that peace and that power, and it was a time of discovery, and it's a time of restoration, and it's a time of freedom towards the end, right? And then we talk about how the story we tell ourselves of who we are and how we think our life looks and what we want it to look like. Well, by the end of this, I had a new story, and a new perspective on my story. And in fact, I had so much perspective, I realized that the story that I've told myself for so long really wasn't me. Mind-blowing. And that's the point, right? It's to come out the other side completely restored, and then you can start something new. And this is something that, unfortunately, we don't hear a lot in the recovery community, is that you can be all done. All done. You're restored. You're good. If I didn't take the course, I don't think I would have met this version of myself. Or maybe ever. Or maybe it would have taken me a lot longer. it's like it opened up a whole new chapter, because now I found things that I absolutely love to do, and I do them every day. And I didn't even know that that's what was missing from my traditional way of taking care of myself, right? Like traditional coping skills. Like I never thought to stop to breathe, or tuning in could be something we practice. Like, just didn't consider that. There are places that I was able to go inside myself when I was breathing, and they unlocked some really deep, actually generational, like memories, trauma. And it was such a surprise to me and how effective that practice was at getting to some of the stuff that was so deeply buried. People don't realize that that is what we carry around with us. And unless we're addressing that and looking at that and feeling with that, and I would talk to it. I remember there were times that I would journal and I'd sit with it. I'd be like, okay, here's that pain in that chest. Like, what does it need? Like, what does the darkness need? If I'm sensing darkness, if I'm sensing fear, well, where's that fear? What does it need from me right now? And I remember too, in the course, I used dance, I used movement, and I would dance around my room. I'd chant and I'd play music and I'd dance around my room and I would just weep. And it's like all this grief was coming out, and I'm just kind of like, man, all of this stuff, it was almost as if it was like trapped just beneath the surface. And as soon as I had the right tool, it just kind of came to the presence, and I was able to flesh it out, and I felt so free. It takes really wanting to do it and working through it, and making it a priority every day. Like shuffling to the coffee pot every morning. I can do that every morning. Well, now I go to the coffee pot and then I go back to my yoga mat and I do my breathing and I do all my different stuff, and I never would have done that before. I was diagnosed with PTSD. Complex. Not even just PTSD. I got the complex kind. You know, the kind that you live with the rest of your life, and you learn to live really well with it. But there was a shift that happened when I realized that this was it. I'm either going to get better or I'm not going to get better, and it's going to be up to me, because no one's going to come and change that for me. You know, so it was really like a place of self-accountability. You know, and I decided, I was like, okay, well, then if I'm not going to live, I don't want to live with PTSD anymore. So I just decided that I'm not going to live with PTSD. I'm going to be experiencing post-traumatic growth. And in that moment, I did. And I have ever since. So I don't know where the PTSD went. So not only was I able to deal with the stress of that immediate season of life, but it was also a way of me healing stuff that I had spent decades trying to deal with in traditional therapies, and I hadn't really gotten to the root. I identified as being in recovery from an eating disorder for almost 20 years, and I've lived most of my life with what they call bipolar 2, and then going through, domestic violence and abuse. You're in recovery from trauma, and so I was always in recovery. I was always recovering from something, and I didn't know, what would life look like if I wasn't in recovery? What if I was recovered? And in a lot of ways, that was scary, because if I got better, then who am I? And what am I going to do with my life? And this place that used to be filled with pain, like, what do I put in there now? Going through that healing process got me back to living my life. It actually catapulted me forward, because what had happened was a lot of my past traumas that I thought I dealt with, I hadn't dealt with, and they were becoming these limitations that I didn't understand why they were there. When I was able to work through some of these healing practices and incorporate that into my life, my recovery and me, like in my movement and my business and my life, sped up exponentially, where I was jumping back into going to things and booking networking events and putting myself out there. And I've been wanting to do that for 2 years. I recall an afternoon last month. I was sitting with a colleague, and she knew me before I did the course, and she saw what I went through with everything that happened with my daughter. I was just a wreck. And I remember her asking me, how did you go from that person to this woman sitting here today? And I told her, I learned to breathe. And I reconnected with myself. And I did spend a lot of nights weeping, if we're being honest. Sometimes we have to break open to break free. Is almost just as painful as what hurt us, but it is what's necessary at times. But it is a pain that brings new life, like giving birth. It's painful, but on the other side, it's an incredible life waiting for you. And so I knew that, and so I did take that time and I allowed myself to be a mess. I remember I would text Yoni and I was a mess. And he was there for me, and he was very supportive. Now I feel like I can handle what life's gonna throw at me. Like I can do that, I'm resilient, you know? Like every time we succeed, every little victory that we have, we string those together and go, oh my gosh, look what I'm capable of. Look what I'm capable of. I can do this, I can do this. And so if I can commit to something for only a few months that could possibly change the trajectory of my life, I'm gonna do it. It was a turning point. I went back to my business. I started making calls to book talks. I started going to networking events, and I was too afraid to go to a networking event. I remember I was so afraid. And then after I went through the course, I intentionally checked in with myself at my first networking event back. And I was standing in this room, and there was all these people, and they were talking over each other, and there was all this hum of energy in the room, and here I am. I'm just like this. Oh my God, I'm completely calm right now. And I turned to the colleague that I was talking to. I said, did you know that I wouldn't have been able to do this like 6 weeks ago without having an anxiety attack? And she's like, no way. I'm like, let me tell you a story. Being a mother, being a single mom, I live for my child, but I had to stop doing that. And now my relationship with my daughter is much healthier. I started putting myself first, and I realized that I can't help her. I have to help me. The best thing that I could do for her was to heal out in the open and have her watch me and be a role model. And every day I chose myself, and I did it right in front of her. And she started to do the same thing. I went back to ballet. Ballet is my first love language. When I was really young, dance injured me, but this time it healed me. So I used dance in a way that nurtured my body and honored my body and helped my body feel, which was a totally different way than I used to use it. It was rigorous, and it was competitive, and it was if you want to be the best, you push past the pain. And with this, it's like I'm honoring my pain and I'm cherishing my body by moving it. It's a totally different perspective. Driving into downtown Phoenix and going to a new place, new building, I don't know who the people are, I've never been there. There could be like a man, you know, like at the bar next to me, I don't know, what if he looks at me weird? I don't think that anymore. I'm like, I'm just gonna go to dance. It's just dance, and he's just a guy. I really transformed because I started taking myself out into nature wanting solitude, seeking silence and stillness. And the energy of like just being outside by water. I couldn't get to the ocean, so I went to the lake, and I started going to the lake, and I found a place to meditate. And again, using what I learned in the courses, here I am reading my book and doing my meditation and my breathing and tuning into myself, and I didn't know any of that existed before. So here I am taking myself out, choosing myself, choosing my body, choosing my recovery, using my skills, loving it, watching my dog swim in the water and get all muddy and just be a freaking mess. And it was beautiful. I wouldn't have had that if I didn't make the decision to try, to just try it. I was too afraid to stay in a hotel room by myself, and I didn't travel by myself. I wanted to do something really different for myself. So for my birthday, I spent it by myself. I took myself on a trip, and I took my dog, and we stayed at a hotel for the weekend, and we went hiking, and I went on an adventure. I never would have done that before. Go somewhere by myself. It felt so freeing. And I remember when I got back, I was like, oh my gosh, I did it. Like, and it was so awesome, and it was so much fun. I like being with myself. I think I spent so many years running the other direction for myself. And really, I was just running from those feelings. When I moved to Arizona, I didn't leave my parents' house only to go to the grocery store for an entire year after everything I went through. And then my mom's cancer, and I was her caregiver, so I couldn't just go anywhere because it was during COVID. So I had come out of like 2 years of isolation, and then I finally got my own apartment, and I was just me and my daughter, and I didn't know anyone, so it's like, what, I'm gonna go by myself somewhere? Like, I didn't go really anywhere. And so then I was like, oh, where do I want to go? You know? And I just started meeting people, and I would meet up for coffee, you know? Because I remember it was really, actually, you know what's really, really sad? I remember one night like literally going on Google and typing in like how to get a life. Like, how does somebody get a life? Because I didn't know how. Like, what am I gonna do when I go hang out? Like, with who and where? I would hope everyone gets to the point where they would say, like, what's next for me in life? And I know the hopelessness that can come with depression, and you don't feel like you even want to be here anymore. If someone's in that place where they don't even feel like they deserve it to be better, I'm gonna have to tell them they're wrong. They do deserve better. If I can go from a person who was too afraid to live and fully live and have relationships and go anywhere to doing what I'm doing now, anybody can do it, really, with the right support. You have nothing to lose. Nothing. What are you gonna do, get better? And make new friends? And I would just encourage them to get curious. What could it be like? What if it works? So all the time we ask ourselves, what if it doesn't work? What if I don't get better? What if you do? What if you do get better? Let's find out.